It might look like just another small silver coin you've seen 1,000 times in your change. But what if I told you that the 2004 Canadian 10-cent coin could secretly be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? Yes, that tiny dime, the one you probably overlook or toss into a jar, hides stories of minting mysteries, rare errors, and hidden treasures that only a few collectors truly understand. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the world of the 2004 Canadian dime, exploring its origin, design, and all the small imperfections that can turn a simple coin into a collector's dream. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover what makes this little coin one of the most intriguing modern issues in Canadian numismatics. The 2004 Canadian 10-cent coin was minted by the Royal Canadian Mint during an era when precision technology was at its peak. But even the most advanced minting systems in the world aren't perfect. In fact, those imperfections are what makes some coins incredibly valuable. This coin carries the classic design that Canadians know and love. On one side, the obverse, you'll find the image of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt. The uncrowned portrait introduced in 2003. It's a graceful and realistic depiction of the Queen in her later years, symbolizing dignity, continuity, and modern Canadian identity. On the reverse, the Blue-Nose schooner sails proudly across the coin, a design that first appeared in 1937 and became an enduring symbol of speed, strength, and national pride. The Blue-Nose was a fishing and racing vessel that dominated the North Atlantic races in the 1920s, and it remains one of Canada's greatest maritime icons. The 2004 dime continued that tradition, combining the timeless design with modern minting techniques. This coin is made of nickel-plated steel, with a weight of 1.75 grams and a diameter of 18.03 millimeters. Earlier versions were made of nickel or silver, but by 2004, the Royal Canadian Mint had shifted to plated steel for cost efficiency. Millions of 10-cent coins were minted that year, primarily at the Winnipeg facility, and although most are perfectly ordinary, a small number feature minting errors or unique die varieties that make them valuable collector items. The first thing collectors look for in the 2004 Canadian dime is the condition. Even a normal dime in uncirculated or mint state can bring a small premium, especially if it has strong luster and sharp detail. Coins graded MS65 or higher by ICCS NGC or PCGS can sell for between $10 and $25 simply because of their perfect strike and preservation. But it's the errors, the unexpected surprises, that push values into the hundreds or thousands. One of the most sought-after types of 2004 dimes is the double die obverse, known to specialists as DDO. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is engraved twice slightly out of alignment. Under magnification, you can see double details on the Queen's name, the date, or the lettering DG Regina. These double lines aren't scratches or damage. They're part of the die itself, and that makes them incredibly desirable. Strong examples of double dies have sold for anywhere from $100 to $400 Canadian dollars, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. Another major error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't positioned correctly between the dies. The result is a coin where the design appears shifted to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal along the rim. A 5% off-center strike is noticeable but fairly common. However, when the misalignment reaches 20% or more, the value jumps significantly. A 2004 dime struck 30% off-center with a visible date could easily sell for $800 to $1,200 Canadian dollars. The rarer and more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value. Collectors also search for missing plating or unplated planchet errors. Since the 2004 dime was made of steel coated with layers of nickel, mistakes in the plating process sometimes left sections of the coin bare. If you see patches where the silvery finish is missing and the coin shows a dull gray or coppery tone underneath, it could be a plating error. These coins can sell for $100 to $500, depending on the size of the exposed area. Even more dramatic is the unplated planchet, a coin that never received its nickel layer at all. These appear as completely copper-colored or gray steel dimes, unlike the usual bright silver tone. Such coins are very rare, and certified examples have sold for more than $1,000. Another fascinating mistake is the die clash. This happens when the two dies use to strike coins hit each other without a blank in between, transferring faint mirror images of one design onto the other die's surface. When struck again with a proper planchet, those faint marks appear as ghostly outlines. On a 2004 dime, you might see the shadow of the Queen's profile faintly visible behind the blue nose or parts of the ship's sails showing through on the Queen's side. Die clashes are highly collectible and can fetch $150 to $400, depending on their visibility. Then there are cut and die crack errors caused by wear or breakage in the dies. Over time, cracks form in the dies that appear as raised lines or blobs on the coin surface. When a piece of the die actually breaks off, it leaves a raised, blank area called a cud. A large cud covering part of the ship's hull or the Queen's portrait rim can make your coin completely unique. These are usually valued between $75 and $300, but exceptional examples can exceed that. Collectors also look for rotation errors, where one side of the coin is misaligned with the other. Normally, when you flip the coin vertically, both sides should be perfectly upright, but on a rotated die error, one side may appear sideways or even upside down. Minor rotations aren't worth much, but a 90 or 180-degree rotation can easily bring $200 to $400, especially if confirmed by certification. A very small number of proof-like 2004 dimes were struck with mirror-polished dies for collector sets. These coins show a deep reflective background with frosted raised designs, and when found in perfect condition, they can sell for $10 to $30 each. However, if one of these proof-like coins shows any minting anomaly, such as doubling, plating issues, or die rotation, the value can soar into hundreds because it combines rarity with presentation quality. Real-world examples from auctions confirm these values. In 2022, a 2004 Canadian dime with a dramatic 40% off-center strike sold for over 950 Canadian dollars. Another with a missing nickel layer, revealing the copper-plated steel beneath, fetched nearly $600. Even a small die crack variety, with a visible raised line across the blue nose's mast, sold for $175. Proof that even subtle errors can attract strong interest among collectors. The beauty of the 2004 dime lies not only in its design, but also in its place in Canadian coinage history. By 2004, the Royal Canadian Mint had fully transitioned to multiply plated steel coins, a technology that reduced costs and improved consistency. But that transition also created new types of minting flaws unseen in older, solid metal coins. Collectors see this era as a turning point. The blend of modern minting precision and the occasional mechanical imperfection that still slip through. These tiny variations tell the story of how Canada's coinage evolved in the 21st century. If you want to check your own 2004 dime for value, start by examining the coin under bright light or a magnifying lens. Look carefully at the date and the Queen's name for doubling. Check the rim for cracks or bulges. Examine both sides for discoloration or bare steel patches. And if you suspect an error, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its surface and drastically reduce its value. Instead, place it in a soft plastic holder and consider sending it for grading or certification. Trusted grading services like ICCS, PCGS, and NGC can authenticate your coin and assign it a grade, ensuring maximum value if you ever decide to sell. It's also worth checking mint sets from 2004. Sometimes errors slip into these collector sets unnoticed. There have been reports of proof-like dimes with double dates or faint die clashes sealed in mint packaging. Because these were sold directly by the mint, such errors are rare and command strong premiums. Many coin hunters in Canada and around the world now search their spare change in old coin rolls for 2004 dimes, hoping to find one of these rare treasures. The thrill of finding an error coin that others overlooked makes the hobby even more exciting. And as time passes, the number of pristine 2004 coins in circulation decreases. Coins with full luster, no scratches, and crisp details become scarcer every year. In the long run, this natural scarcity can drive up prices for top-quality examples. Even without errors, the most valuable 2004 dimes combine condition, rarity, and uniqueness. A perfectly struck, high-grade uncirculated coin might bring $15 or $20, but add in an error like a double die, missing plating, or off-center strike. And that number can multiply tenfold